links to join the channel here or over on Subscribestar. So Andrew Tate and the spiritual battle of angels versus demons. He makes some good points. He couches this in a different viewpoint than a more religious viewpoint than what I usually talk about, the concept of globalism versus nationalism, or the left versus the right hand path. But it seems to be pretty similar. So is the world ruled by actual Satanists? Yeah, we've been saying that for a long time. I mean, how many hints over the past 40 years have people had to drop? And like, don't get me wrong, everything deserves the concept of due process. Everything deserves an investigation. But how many things have been like, what stuff has been brushed under the rug and what stuff has been brought into the light? And the thing is, YouTube, you can tell what YouTube accepts and what they don't accept simply by searching, but you have to have been on YouTube for several years to see what the stuff that used to be on a few years ago is not allowed on anymore. So let me carefully say this. The stuff that came out with the furniture dealer, it's like, oh, okay, that sounds like some tinfoil hat, just some crazy MAGA stuff. And, you know, a lot of this stuff legitimately is. There's crazy people on both sides. But that wasn't the weird thing. And that was probably just a pricing mix-up. That's not the issue. Like, I don't think there... No, I think... I don't know. I don't know. I have to look into it. But it's probably just a pricing mix-up. That's not the story. The story is that the media came out within 2 hours and immediately did stories on how it was nonsense. That's the weird thing. You can't write a story in 2 hours because you can't have a... You didn't interview anyone in 2 hours. It takes time to send out, hey, get back to me. We're going to release this story. It's like, and the mainstream media now will do that. Like, we're releasing the story in 2 hours. It's like, well, nobody's going to get back to you. But the issue was that the mainstream media all came out and they said, oh, yeah, all this furniture stuff, it's all nonsense. Like, but the original poster is 2 hours ago and you're coming up with like a cover story in 2 hours. That's the story. I mean, that's what should raise the hackles on the back of your mind, or FTX and Bankman-Fried. That thing comes out. Keep in mind, Bernie Madoff is in jail, right? FTX Bankman-Fried comes out, and you see the media coverage of it, and you're like, holy shit, they're running cover for this guy. Yeah, they're legitimately, oh, he's a sad, tragic, misunderstood figure. What's going on here? Yeah, there's something going on there. There's something going on. It's like the media is not the media and the government's not the government either. So is the world run by actual Satanists? Yeah, there is a small percentage of these people who are legitimate, actual Luciferians. And then there's a greater circle of people who are just kind of LARPing to get along because it's what the powers that be are into, like the spirit cooking Abramovich type of stuff. Like, is there a core of seriousness to it? It's like, yeah, I mean, at what point do you look at LARPers and go, oh, I mean, you guys are acting as if this is true. And I mean, you're saying these incantations, like, does it prove an anthropomorphic deity? No, of course not. But it seems like kind of a moot point if you're acting as if it is in existence. So, yeah, we've been saying this stuff for a long time. We've had our social media accounts, our banks, the payment processors. They've canceled our accounts for saying this. The mainstream media will dox you and destroy your life if you fly too close to this sun. The left-hand path is lit by the light of Lucifer. All the Epsteins or the Abramovich and the Podesta stuff that was coming, oh, that's just a right-wing nonsense. Well, I mean, it's not all right-wing nonsense. And don't get me wrong, there's some nonsense to it. But like Epstein's Island isn't nonsense. Like that was all real. In fact, I mean, him in an American jail got deleted, and Brunel in a French jail got deleted, and Maxwell's in a jail right now. I mean, that all actually happened just a couple of years ago. It's like, oh no, that's just nothing. But I mean, not only were they arrested for this and found guilty, but then they got deleted in jail. I mean, that's kind of weird. And then, you know, what's funny is some of the people associated with the FTX stuff, also, they were releasing social media posts saying that they're going to be deleted, and then they mysteriously drown. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, a lot of things are weird. It's like this is what they do in second and third world countries. You look around, yeah, that's where do you think you are? Like, this illusion of America as a first world country is one of the first illusions that needs to go out the window. So everything Isaac Kappy or Stanley Kubrick was warning people about, like, people have been dropping these hints for a long time. One of the things is a lot of the people who are talking about this stuff, this kind of crazy tinfoil hat stuff, a lot of them are legitimately troubled people. And I think some of it is people who are kind of, you stare into the abyss for so long, especially this is just the darkest, I almost said DARPA, which is kind of a Freudian. This is just the darkest abyss possible. And you think like, yeah, no wonder some of these people are not wired right. But it's like, it doesn't mean the things they're saying are wrong. It's like, just look at the facts of the situation. And yeah, I have no doubt that some of this stuff will make them crazy. Or Scott Wiener, if you remember him, he's in the news because he faked or allegedly faked a hoax crime against him, some kind of threat against him. Somebody left a recording, so he transcribed it and put the text on a tweet instead of just playing the recording of the threat. That's weird, Scott Wiener. That's weird. He's a San Francisco representative who was passing some bill involving kids and prurient interest. I mean, just like the absolute nightmare feel. I mean, you look at these people and you go, huh, not an easy path forward. Or Armed Antifa protecting drag queen story hour, or Balenciaga. Yeah, they're doing all this stuff in front of you and they're normalizing it, and the country has no defense against it, not in the systems that are in place. So sometimes, you have to change the system or go outside the system to fix these things. It's sort of an accelerationism versus optics. Look how outraged the media was. Even the vice president, the president, and Nancy Pelosi were commenting on Alex Jones and that rapper guy who got a little bit off plantation. But Hugh on Head and Brittany Ventney, who are two internet YouTuber types, they had to break the Balenciaga story. They didn't break it, but they're the ones who helped blow it up. Like, they're just two internet people. Why wasn't the mainstream media blowing that story up? The Young Turks covered it and they said, oh, this is a shame that this happened because it gives the right wing ammunition. Where even the people in their own audience were looking at them and going like, what are you talking about? Shouldn't you also, like, just because the right is outraged about this, that doesn't mean you have to defend it. Like, you don't have to take a 180-degree position to every right-wing point. If the right is correct, you can side with them and go, yeah, this is abhorrent. Not that, oh, this helps the right wing. Because now the left wing is the party of this stuff involving kids. Like, that's part of the left wing platform, so they can't come out and go too much against it because they go, oh, I don't want to be istophobic. The left wing is kind of moving themselves into this purity spiral. I think they're in a little bit of trouble here. So if it wasn't for those two internet girls, the story would have been mostly ignored. And I think it's just mostly ignored by the mainstream media. Even Slate came out, that one article where they talked about it a little bit, and even them said something similar to like, yes, but it helps the right wing. It's like, buddy, everyone should be against this. Why are you like this? So if Siobhan Head and Brittany Ventney are our two champions in this battle against these satanic forces, I guess I'll take what I can get. So with the Satan stuff, if it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. At some point, you just have to accept them at their words. If they think they're Satanists, it's like, okay. If they're using the satanic ritual artwork or the some of the rituals, and they're doing some kind of inverted Latin mass. I mean, at some point you can just go, oh, they're actual Satanists, and they appear to be doing a lot of other darker type of things. Now, I view this through the lens of globalism versus nationalism, and other people have taken a more religious bent of it. He calls it cosmic or karmic retribution. I'm viewing it through the biblical lens. It seems like just the path to temptation. It's like the standard Luciferian to try to take somebody down the highway to hell step by step by leading them into temptation, and then you get them drawn into it long enough, and it's like, see, you're always taking part in Balenciaga, you love our fashion, and then you see like some of the stuff they're doing, and you're so, it's like the sunk cost fallacy thing. You're so sunk into this thing where it's not just the fashion, but it's defending. It's like it's istophobic to say you're against the stuff with children. It's like, because it's all kind of bound up. But I mean, there are plenty of people in that community who are against this type of thing. In fact, I think they got kicked off of Twitter before Elon bought Twitter. The BLT against child exploitation types. And the funny thing about that is the outrage over Twitter is insane. So Twitter had like child exploitation stuff for years under Uri Roth and his trust and safety board for years, to the extent where a victim had to go to the Department of Homeland Security because Twitter wouldn't remove the prawn of the underage. She had to go to the Department of Homeland Security, and they had to threaten Twitter with prosecution because they're publishing this stuff, and so they finally removed it. So although it happened for like a decade under Uri Roth, and Elon comes in there, fires half the human resources and trust and safety, but he also gets rid of all that child exploitation stuff. And now the people who are now on Twitter who are just they're not working for Twitter, but they're working to get rid of the child stuff on Twitter. They're noticing that like 90% of it is gone, and they're working to get rid of the rest of it on Twitter. It's like, and the New York Times and the mainstream media is publishing articles like, Elon just made it worse. But I mean, he clearly didn't. I mean, they're gaslighting you. It's like flies in the face of objective reality. Within 2 weeks, he got rid of almost all of it, and he fired the people who were supposed to be getting rid of it, which leads you to the logical conclusion that the Uri Roth team were involved in some shady business involving that kind of thing. Anyway, are these people literally Satanists? Yeah, some of them literally are. I mean, how many of these images, these like Podesta, Maria, like if you've seen the art of those Abramovic, Podesta, Scott Wiener or Anthony Weiner's art, that kind of stuff, normal people don't have those kind of artworks. Or the emails that were going back and forth dealing with the Italian food, those emails were not about food, obviously, and they weren't even about drugs. They were about something else. What were they about exactly? You'll never know. But I mean, unless you do an investigation, which Elon having access to Twitter now, it's like a lot of stuff is probably going to come out. But it's like, yes, there is something deeper and darker going on. Like the Balenciaga was kind of I don't know if it's the final straw for people, but it's helping awaken a lot of people. And the thing is, before Elon got Twitter, there's no place to talk about it. Like you see how careful this is on YouTube. And if you look through YouTube, all the old, in quotes, conspiracy theory stuff is all gone. Like stuff from 5 years ago. And some of the stuff is crackpot. But what the left will do is conflate things that are just completely nuts with things that actually happen. Like people who are fascinated by the shape of the earth. It's like, well, that's nonsense, because there's objective scientific reality that leads you to a reasonable conclusion. But then they'll conflate that with like Epstein Island stuff. And you're like, but that all actually happened. Why are you mixing those two things? Because they're trying to poison the well. They're trying to say, oh, people who focus on these things are crazy. It's like, no, I can split those things up. I can say that the shape of the earth people, that's a flawed theory. And here's the scientific evidence to show that it's probably an oblate spheroid of revolution, most likely. But the Epstein stuff, like those guys actually got arrested, charged, prosecuted, and then deleted in prison, both in America and France. That all actually happened. Oh, it's just the same as the flat Earth people. It's like, no, it's not. Those are two different things, and you're mixing them together to try to discredit the source. Just because somebody is spouting like half crazy things and half real things, it's like, okay, discount the crazy things. It doesn't poison the well for me. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys all next episode.